I'm Allendale's chief meteorologist Ryan Martin with a look at your midday weather update. Weather headlines that we're watching at mid-session. First of all, moisture moving across the Corn Belt. How much more is coming? Well, we've got another wave of energy that's going to be coming up the cool front as it sags across the rest of the Corn Belt here this afternoon, overnight tonight, and into tomorrow. This afternoon, you've got to be a little bit concerned about maybe some stronger thunderstorms. Everything that we've seen so far has just been kind of your garden variety thunderstorm well in advance of the cold front. Cold front currently at midday sits from, we'll say, just west of Milwaukee, down through the Quad Cities, through Kansas City, and then Enid, Oklahoma, before eventually ending up down in the Amarillo and Lubbock, Texas areas. That's where the cold front sits. So as we go into this afternoon, especially if we get any break in the cloud cover that gets some heating going, I think we could see another round of maybe some strong to severe thunderstorm action. The best area for this is going to be southern Illinois, Boot Heel of Missouri, Ohio River Valley, Kentucky, Tennessee. That's probably the hot point, but we could see a few of those storms a little bit farther north. What's interesting is the radar picture makes these storms look a lot worse than they actually are as they've moved through parts of Indiana. Yeah, there's been some rumbles of thunder, and there's been some decent rain, but it hasn't been big gully-washing rain amounts for the most part. I don't like the fact that most of the precipitation here seems to want to be more thunderstorm-based. That lends itself a lot more to the hit-and-miss action. I think as low pressure comes out of Oklahoma up the cool front overnight tonight, it may bring a more steady, over the top side, the north side of the low kind of rain to areas in the Corn Belt. Either way, we're still probably looking at adding enough rain here to the Corn Belt to say, another half inch to 1 full inch east of the Mississippi. West of the Mississippi, we're probably done. Next system comes in as we go through next week. I think from late Monday right on through early Friday, we're going to be seeing moisture in some way, shape, or form. It's actually going to be coming from two different areas. Over the weekend, strong high pressure settles down across the eastern part of the country. We see action come up the backside of that high off the Gulf through the lower Delta as we hit Sunday night, Monday, and then some of that moisture rotates up through the Ohio Valley and into the eastern half of the Corn Belt, at least, as we go into the early part of the week. Then you've got a low that comes down from the northwest from midweek on, and that brings more rain as well. I'd still say half to inch and a quarter rain totals are likely out of that coverage, probably 70% of the Corn Belt on the whole. Missing out will be the upper Midwest. I don't think we see near as much action up there, and maybe even western parts of Iowa. Everybody's talking about how dry it is in the hard red winter wheat belt. They are right. The action that came through there last night and today has been very hit and miss thunderstorm based. Talked with a couple of folks out in northeast Kansas. One guy very dejected, only had about 48 hundredths of an inch. He goes, but you go 10 miles down the road, my neighbor had 1.5 inches. Well, that's the way thunderstorms usually work, especially out in the plains. What we've got coming here over the next 24 hours or so is a weak secondary disturbance. Starting to see some moisture pop up already over northeastern parts of Colorado. I think this kind of expands out, and it's going to be a gentle rain that kind of spreads eastward. Let's just say from I-80 in Nebraska down to US 50 in Kansas. That's probably the best corridor for this. Problem is, there's not a lot of moisture to work with, and I think we're looking at a few hundredths of an inch, maybe 5 hundredths of an inch to a quarter of an inch maximum out of this as it moves through. But you put that together, put that in over the guy that only got 4 tenths last night. Maybe he's a little bit happier of a camper. Farther west you go, they didn't see anything last night, so this is going to be all it is. Maybe it washes the dust off the blades of wheat just a little bit, but we'll have to see. As far as the wheat belt goes, I think this area really has to put all its hope and faith into a system that tries to come together toward the end of the forecast period. I've been looking at this on the past couple of model runs. The European really starting to show it now. A good low coming together. Oklahoma Panhandle, and then having a secondary low up in southwest to South Dakota. The latest model run actually connects this to two more lows up into Canada. So you can see this is a long sweeping front, and this would be toward the end of next weekend, Saturday night into Sunday. So the 12th, we're going to watch very, very closely. If this continues to emerge on the models, and if we can get this nice, big, long frontal boundary scenario that's able to tap into some decent moisture, pulling it off the western Gulf, this could be a crop-saving rain for a large part of the wheat belt out there. Right now, the European is suggesting half to maybe 3/4 of an inch in spots. These are the kind of systems that I think can have a better chance at growing over time in their moisture scope rather than decreasing. And the reason I say that is because it's such a strong system that goes all the way back up into Canada. If this was some renegade low moving through, I guess I wouldn't feel quite the same. We're also tying this a little bit to a pattern change over the western third of the country where the ridge is getting hammered down a little bit. So that should help with some moisture flow as well. So keep your fingers crossed on wheat there. And we're going to be seeing plenty of moisture across a good chunk of the rest of the Corn Belt. International weather, as we kind of hinted at in our write-up this morning, good rains coming back now into the later part of the forecast period for Western Australia, so we're just going to continue to help that soil profile out. Some got good rains in eastern Australian wheat areas as well. The only place lagging now, or that will be lagging maybe just a bit at the end of the 10-day period, will be South Australia, and I think their time is coming. One of the things I like about the pattern in Western Australia is, you don't have to go too far off the west coast there to find a fairly significant finger of heavy moisture. All we need is that front to try and move east and then maybe a bit southeast over the next couple of weeks, and we could be setting up for even better rains for wheat planting or right after wheat planting in Western Australia. South American weather is becoming less and less of a factor right now as soybean harvest nears completion. Moisture at this point looks to be more along the lines of finishing rains for corn, and we see still the standard action around, nothing really too exciting one way or the other. We are going to continue to keep an eye out for some colder air in Argentina, but so far not seeing any signs of that. And Eastern Europe, western parts of Russia, the western former Soviet Union countries, all looking much better now. Ukraine picked up some rain in the past 24 to 36 hours, and we're seeing over the next 7 to 10 days another inch to inch and a half coming, so good rain there. Still have some concerns about Kazakhstan and the eastern part of Russia's grain-growing regions. That's what's stacking up here at Midday. If you've got any questions on the weather, give us a call at Allendale. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin.